Well, welcome golfers, welcome everyone to episode number 8, season 2, Hit It Where They Mow. We're talking golf in Texas. And today's title of our show is Your Best Shot, which is also the title of a book written by one of my guests, Mr. Jorge Croda. He's to my far left. And to my near left is Mr. Kevin Long, the former executive director of the First Tee in Fort Worth, and now the head golf coach at Texas Wesleyan University. So we got a couple of visitors from Fort Worth. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Pat.
Jorge.
Good to be here.
Yeah, hit it where they mow. We're talking golf, and today's show, I'm so excited about it. I'm such a slackard. You know, I like to tell people that I got my way through college, skimming the Cliff Notes. But I began to read your book last night, Jorge, and I'm just blown away by it. It's a whole different approach to the game of golf, and one that dovetails perfectly into what you do or did for many years at the First Tee, and that's using golf to build a better community. Before we get rolling, though, I want to thank our sponsors, and starting off with Niagara Conservation, and Tricia is going to tell you about Niagara Conservation.
Thanks, Pat, and thanks, Niagara, for your continuing support of nonprofit affordable housing projects. Are you looking for top quality bathroom fixtures that save water without compromising performance? Well, look no further than Niagara. With over 15 industry awards in just this past year, their toilets, bidets, and shower heads are the real deal. Plus, they come in various styles, like ADA heights, elongated and round bowl shapes, and they utilize Niagara's patented stealth technology.
And next, I want to thank Veritex Bank, the Golf Bank of Texas. It's one of the great banks. It's a locally owned bank. It's ideal for personal accounts or small commercial accounts. Veritex Bank, which I used to think meant Veritex, but it's more than that. It's Veritas. It means integrity in banking, and that's what they do. And then we're going to talk about our golf courses today. The Tempest Golf Club out near Longview, East Texas Golf as it was meant to be. I know Texas Wesleyan hosted a tournament there last year. We're going to talk about that. And then up I-35, go to tempestgolfclub.com to book a tee time. Great place to play and stay. They have condominiums near the course now, so check into that. And then up the highway on I-35, one of the great courses of America, and that is Dornick Hills, the home course, the farm of Perry Maxwell. And you can get a great deal on a non-resident membership there. And we'll talk a little more about our sponsors as we go through, but let's just talk about building a better community through golf. And first of all, I want to say I love to rank the golf towns in Texas. And you know what town I rank as number 1? Would either one of you like to guess?
It's got to be Fort Worth. Right?
It is. It is.
Yes.
And
no offense to any other town.
But San Antonio close second. And then, of course, Dallas and Houston, my hometown of Tyler. But why is Fort Worth the best golf town in Texas? I'll let you elaborate. But basically, it's the home of Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson. Yeah. And the home of Colonial Golf Club, which has hosted a PGA event since 1947, I think. So just an amazing golf town. And you were involved in the First Tee of Fort Worth. And Jorge, you came alongside Kevin, and you've written this book now. Tell us a little bit, just your opening remarks about building a better community through golf. Kevin, I'll go with you first, and then Jorge.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Fort Worth definitely is a true golf culture, so I agree with that. But I think, one of the things that we all have known about golf for a long time is that you can build character and personal growth through the game of golf, but it's always kind of illy defined. And I think what, First Tee has done and people like Jorge and what we're trying to do at Texas Wesleyan is help people build character through the game of golf and specific life skills. And I think it's a unique platform, and it offers and tends to provide opportunities for people to do that, but also when you take these different types of curriculum and sort of self-growth opportunities that come through books like Jorge, what the First Tee curriculum is and so forth. I know for me, it was for 17 years with the First Tee of Fort Worth, our primary goal is not only to get kids involved in the game of golf forever, but really to help them build life skills and character assets that were going to make them successful throughout their life. And in turn, they can spread that into their communities and their circle of influence, like a big, a lot of ripples in the pond, so to speak. And as I've transitioned to Texas Wesleyan golf now and looking at the larger adult community and the college community, young people, I realize that there's a huge opportunity amongst people of any age, whether they're engaged in golf yet or not, that to take advantage of some of these amazing opportunities to not only play and be involved in a great game, but to grow in their character as well. So that's kind of my life's mission, if you will, at this point. So
it's a good one, and when you're my age, one of the things I love is that if I'm not dead, God's not through with me.
That's right.
He's got more things for me to do, and He's got more growth for me. And Jorge, you came alongside Kevin, and then you have this background. I think yours background primarily in education and teaching, coaching.
Yes, mm-hmm.
But yours is multifaceted. I want to say you're in engineering, and so tell us a little bit about your take on building a golf community, kind of the overview, a better community through golf, and then I'll let you start on your bio a little bit.
Yes, I'm an industrial engineer. I'm from Veracruz, Mexico.
Right.
And when I went when I come to Fort Worth, to United States, my first meet is with Kevin, and I share with him where I thinking about golf and what I do about golf over there, because even though we need a better people in life,
right?
And I think golf is a great tool to be growing the leadership, and the leadership is not just for job; it's for everything.
Right.
You can use in your family, you can use in anywhere. And the golf is the best tool to do that.
Right, and you had some kind of background in course maintenance, right? This is what I was talking about. You're a great life coach and golf coach, as Kevin is, but you also have a background in the actual course maintenance side.
Yes, in Mexico, I touch 20 golf courses about the maintenance side, to put the golf courses in shape to be for be part of the on the map for players. And when I came to the United States, we have one opportunity to take care for one of the golf courses, Southern Oaks. It's in Burleson.
Right, and beautiful course.
Yeah, when I went there, the golf course is ranking on the 64th place, and they hired me to put the golf course in shape for sale.
Yeah.
And after 4 months, she sold the course, and one billionaire buy the course. And the billionaire say, okay, how I can keep you here? Give me a job. That's it. But I want to see what is your expectations. And he say, I want to put the golf course in the top of 10 on the Metroplex area. I say, okay, I'm here. In 5 years, we put in number 2.
Yeah, Mark Brooks Design.
Yes.
The front nine there, this is a free plug for Southern Oaks. Front nine there is one of the most beautiful 9 holes in the Metroplex. It weaves through the forest with the creek running through it. The back nine's pretty, but its houses are on it. It's more common, if you will.
Yes.
I'm going to throw this out to you guys to kind of get the ball rolling. I'm having lunch at church, after church, and one of my friends who doesn't play golf says, what do you get out of golf, Pat? Because of all the time and money I've spent on it, what do I get out of golf? I said, let me think about that and get back to you. And I came up with 4 things. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but how would you answer that question, Kevin?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Yes, it is.
Especially those who've played a long time.
Yeah.
But, I think that I would answer that 3 or 4 ways. I would answer that. Maybe they're similar to yours.
Okay.
One is, the greatest thing about it is it's a sport you can play for a lifetime. Like I always joke there, but I remember the last time I played full court basketball because I couldn't walk for 4 days. I can go out and play golf tomorrow still, and be very comfortable doing it. So it's a sport that lasts a lifetime. I think number 2, and probably most importantly, in all honesty, is that it's a game of personal growth. No matter how you engage in it, if you're a professional golfer all the way to somebody who's a beginner and can barely get the ball airborne. There are challenges around it. There's opportunities to grow in how you approach things. It's an opportunity to kind of hone your mental discipline and into a physical skill. So it's a really unique challenge, and it's something that I think, I know for me as golfers, probably every personal growth journey I've ever had something to do with golf. So I know I'm biased, but I really believe that no matter what your skill level and your years of experience, that you can learn things through the game of golf, that can help you in other parts of your life. Obviously, the first tee and some of the other programs are exactly about that. But I think the third thing for me that's really interesting is meet people like you guys. I mean, I've been, nobody in my family played golf, and that's some other time I'll bore you about the story about the first time I played golf. But no one expected me to play golf, and yet, because of golf, I've been to some amazing places. I've met some incredible people, and there was times where I was a good player and times I'm like now where I'm your weekend hacker, but it's allowed me to do things, meet people, and go places that I just don't think I would have outside the game of golf. And that can happen for you no matter when you access golf. So those are my couple things.
Well, that's outstanding. Really, and just to add on that last one, George Mayshock, the Mayshocker, my trusty sidekick, I need to get him back in for some... he always goes off in the fifth dimension, but he calls it the world's largest small fraternity.
Yeah.
If you play golf, there's a fellowship there. I concur with that. Jorge, can you add to that? I'm sure you've got some stuff too. You've written this wonderful book. Again, your best shot on Amazon, Jorge Croda. You won't regret buying this. It's unique.
Thank you. But I add the Kevin say is golf show you what is the life exactly you have. And if you want to know play golf. If you want to know somebody, invite to play golf. Because that's the unique sport, like it can take it out your personality. Even though play or don't know play. That's the beauty of the sport. That's what I want to add. But what Kevin
you have
says
a line in this book: "Don't lie, even to yourself." Which, I got you.
Yeah. Also, on the book, I talking about different type of leadership.
Yes.
And what I say is, you need to lead yourself first, and this is the hardest part. Leader yourself, to leader others. Right, to leader opportunities, because you need to be a role model for that. That is the most important. And I know Kevin be part of my role model to what he do for all the community in the golf side.
Yes, and
we are good friends for that reason.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. The people you meet. I boiled it down to four things, and I left out the one about the lifetime, which I'm inspired now. I'm not going to give my age away, but I've been around a while. I want to get better again. And part of that is, I love what Francis Schaeffer said about becoming more like Jesus. In other words, love without envy. But I'm a little envious of some of the guys my age that are shooting a lot better scores than I am. And I want to get better, And one of the things you talk about in the book a lot is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And I haven't seen that addressed quite like that before. And I think for that part of it in itself, it's really good. But here's where I said the four things were, I thought. Number one, friendship. You touched on that. You touched on that. The people we get to meet and interact with. Yes. Okay. Number two, the physical beauty, and you touch on that. Nature. Golf is a game played outdoors in a beautiful setting. I mean, what better place to kind of debrief or just kind of relax, And I love how you talk about that in the book. Number three, and I really think. Number three, competitive. I'm just a competitive person. I think we all are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But learn how to be a gentleman or a gentlewoman when you do that. Someone who respects who you're with. And it really is you against yourself more than anything else. But number 4, I went back and I thought about being a kid and playing golf. And I think we can talk about this for just a minute. The flight of the golf ball. It's intoxicating. When you hit that ball up in the air over all that trouble on that green next to the hole, just like you saw it, you're hooked. But, I mean,
absolutely. And it goes back to my origin story in golf. I remember the first time I played golf, Pat.
Yeah.
I was about 11, 12 years old. And kids asked me, my friends asked me if I played golf. I thought they meant putt-putt, which I played.
Right.
And so they said, well, do you have your own clubs? Like, what are you talking about? But so the first golf shot I ever hit in my life was fortunately, we had a place we could do it on a golf course in a par 3 in my hometown. And I guess I was a good enough athlete and I could kind of had good hand-eye coordination, but I got that thing airborne. Now I still hit the little pull left like I do now with my authentic swing, 45, 50 years later, whatever it is. But I think that really is what hooked me, wow, to see that ball in the air. And still this morning, like you saying that, I kind of got goosebumps thinking about, mornings with the dew on the ground and the ball in the air and all the different things. So it's that moment of contact, especially, you always hit, I don't care what level you are, you always hit 1 or 2 shots that, wow, that felt really good. And I always tell the Weslyan golfers that when they hit good shots, that shot was so good it made my hands feel good. So it's kind of that same thing. So, I think that, it is addicting in a positive way. It is something that people really enjoy. And, and I think that even beginning golfers often can get that feel is something that is not replicated in any other sport I've played. Yeah,
you know when you've hit it correctly and the feel of it. The first tee, I was going to say before the first tee came into existence, and I was over in Atlanta, and there was a man there named Elijah Walker. And one of the mayors of Atlanta was actually in his program. And he had a program for inner city kids to learn how to play. And the John A. White course there in Atlanta, at that time it was only 6 holes. And they didn't have a clubhouse. And I saw a clinic from Calvin Pete there for the kids. And that was my first introduction to you can help kids by getting them introduced to golf. And just tell me a little bit about your story with the Fort Worth First Tee and then how you came to work with Kevin and expanded into some life coaching.
Yeah, like you said, Pat, I'd been involved in education my entire life and working with young people. And I'd got involved with the First Tee as a volunteer when I lived in Georgia for a while, and that's how I was aware of it. And eventually got through a wild set of circumstances, got asked to be on the board here at the First Tee in Fort Worth, and that evolved into becoming our first ever executive director 17 years ago. But the thing that struck me about it was kind of what you just alluded to, is that I really studied all manner, as an educator and a coach, you study all manner of youth development.
Right.
And, I began, when the First Tee began to develop their life skills curriculum and then began to, continues to refine it and research base and experiment with it. And I found I just had never seen anything better to develop young people's character, it's research based, it's age appropriate, it's activity based, it's kind of learning by doing and relating these lessons, not just the core values, but actual lessons like goal setting, decision making, conflict resolution, those kinds of things. And so it fascinated me, and so when I had the opportunity to step out of my role in education after 25 years and do that, it made a lot of sense because golf had meant so much to me, and it was kind of like a gift that I felt like, okay, I can give back to this community that I really care about and has become home for us, and my boys were raised here, and really, try to get as many young people involved, not only in the game of golf, but in this character development aspect. So in that journey, like I said before, I got to meet some incredible people, that also got it, understood. And so I remember our first conversation that he mentioned, he came in and he was kind of sharing his thoughts on golf and development, through the game of golf. And I began to realize really quickly, this is a guy, we really want to have involved with the first tee, and I want to get to know as a friend and a colleague. But he made that mistake that you've also made one time, asking, "Hey, how can I help?" And everybody who knows me says, "Don't say that unless you really mean it." And so he began to get involved in the first tee, and I think it's been quite a number of years now. 2010, before the first learning center was open.
Well, one thing we want to share with the people here, and if you're ever in Fort Worth, go by, even if you don't have time to play golf, go by Rockwood Golf Course. Or if you're out west of town near Willow Park, go to Squaw Creek Golf Course. It's a little smaller version, but you have the 9 core principles with the Ben Hogan swing, which was brilliant. In other words, every movement in his swing is a different core value. And what are those 9 core values again?
Honesty and how about this? You're gonna put me on the spot. I got an acronym to remember. Honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, courtesy, confidence, respect, responsibility, judgment, and perseverance. Those are the 9 core values of the first
honesty, number 1.
Yes.
Integrity. Do what you say you're going to do.
All the time.
Be honest. Do what you say you're going to do. Sportsmanship. Be a good loser. And a good winner.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember the guy that won the flight over at Royal Liverpool in the Harold Hilton Cup. And I remember saying, the guy's a great golfer. He has a great vocabulary. Because he said, commiserations to my opponents. I had to go look it up. It means I feel your pain. Okay, honesty, integrity, sportsmanship.
Courtesy.
My goodness. Courtesy. Can you think of a better thing in this world today? It's a form of kindness. Okay.
Confidence.
Yes. Confidence is quiet confidence, isn't it? It's not having to tell everybody how good you are.
And it's important. It's really.
Well, I remember, guys. I remember doing something on the first tee. Probably, maybe that story I did with you for DFW Links.
Yeah.
Or it might have been the 2 chapters I'm really familiar with are Fort Worth and Piney Woods, because Roy Pace was on the cutting edge. He's got twin boys going to Pebble Beach, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know if there's some Fort Worth kids going.
Yeah. We have 3 kids from Fort Worth going.
Okay, that's the pure invitation, pure insurance invitational at Pebble Beach.
Yes.
Senior tour or Champions Tour with first tee kids. But the first thing he says, we teach them how to shake hands.
Yeah.
How to look somebody in the eye. You don't need to squeeze them to death, but give them a firm handshake, right? Something that we think we learned at home. Some of us did, some of us didn't. But it's a great thing. Where are we now?
We got respect is next.
Respect.
Yep.
You write so beautifully about that.
Yeah.
Respect your playing.
Yeah, one of the things about respect, what I want to say is this is a great code of conduct for the first tee.
Yes.
Respect yourself, respect others, and respect your surroundings. And this is the word when everyone needs to have it.
Yes.
Because respect means confidence. If you respect somebody, you can get trust on the people, right? If you trust on the people, you can get a commitment with the people.
Right.
I think it's a value change what I feel on that, and it's pretty good.
Well, I know we're getting a little. This is free flowing though. You're talking about business golf. 5 hours with somebody, and about 20 minutes you're hitting a golf ball. The other 4 hours and 40 minutes you're talking, right?
Yes.
You get to know somebody in 5 hours better than you would over the course of a year just going in their office for 30 minutes. Really.
Yeah.
And that's when I want to do business with this person, you know, or I don't want to do business. You learn, The other thing about respect your surroundings. Styrofoam cup on the ground, pick it up.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Put it where it's supposed to be. Yeah.
You know, it's funny that we when I took over the Weslyan job last year, and you meet these young men from around the world, 11 countries represented, all these cultures. But you think, well, these kids have been around, they know these things. And I found myself over the year teaching them the first tee life skills curriculum. They needed it.
Reminding them maybe, or teaching?
Well,
way.
Both in some cases. But one of the things of our code of conduct that we use was the first tee code of conduct. You know, we measured everything against it. And, you know, they quote it, respect yourself, respect others, respect your surroundings. And so the question I'd always ask them both when we had success, but also when we messed up sometimes in these
Yeah.
areas. Say, how is that action, those words, whatever, behavior, how is that consistent with our code of conduct? So I just borrowed it from the first tee, but it's applicable.
You don't have to
anybody.
reinvent the wheel.
No,
right?
it was applicable to everybody, and they would go around by the end of the year. They would say, is that consistent with our code of conduct? But they begin to get it, and I think what that taught me was kind of what you alluded to, is that this is good for anybody.
Yes.
I mean, I think Mike Moncrief was the mayor of Fort Worth when we opened up the first learning center at Rockwood, and he talked about in that opening, his remarks that day about really, I think not just every young person, but every citizen of Fort Worth should go through the first tee, and that's a powerful statement.
Yes,
it's true. It's valuable to anybody.
That's very good. By the way, you reminded me of something I read many years ago about respect your surroundings. Dave Williams, the great golf coach at Houston, I think he won 18 national championships. Wasn't much of a golfer, but a great psychologist. Mm-hmm. He said, boys, fix a divot on the green even if you didn't hit the green. Because how's that guy up in the clubhouse looking down, how does he know that you didn't hit the green? Yeah. I thought, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, yeah. So, so where are we on our 9 values?
The next one, and that is for me is a very important core value, is responsibility, because they show you need to take care for the things you do. It's most of the time people feel like don't have a consequences because if I do something wrong, and no, they need to understand have a consequences. If you do wrong, have a wrong consequence.
That's right.
You have a good consequences. But that's another core value, very interesting.
Well, it makes you stop and think a little bit. Like you say, you talk about decision making in your book, and now that's called, what is the actual core value there?
For decision maker is responsibility.
Okay, all right.
But there's also a concept called, I want you to think about this for a minute. It's called STAR. This is how we teach decision making on and off the golf course. It's stop, think, anticipate, respond. So you can imagine that you go through that process as you're deciding on a golf shot, but also it's applicable in life. And the whole idea, if you can get kids, train them, or anybody, train them to go through a decision making process. They still make decisions you don't like, as an adult or as a colleague, but they've gone through a process, and you can live with that. So I think that's what you talk about in the book a little bit.
Yeah. Also, it's about thinking in the response. No make a quick response when you think without thinking.
My personality is to react, then think. So I have to work on that. Yeah. And I like what Billy Graham's wife said on her tombstone. Construction now over. Thanks for your patience, because we're always hopefully growing and getting more like Christ, or more mature. You talk about maturity in there, and you talk about hate is not the opposite of love, fear, and that's very biblical. What can conquer fear? Love, and leadership through love, right?
Yeah,
and that comes through in coaching, I think, more than anything else, if the student knows that you care about them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are we now? Responsibility,
judgment,
judgment,
and perseverance.
and perseverance, the last one.
Perseverance,
and
judgment,
judgment and perseverance.
Yeah. Wow. So let's talk about this book. How did you happen to? I noticed 2020. You published this. And you've got in there, you allude to artificial intelligence. In 2020, I don't even think I'd ever heard of that. You're a little bit ahead of the curve here, Jorge.
I think in this book to start in 2015, when I worked with the first tee, and I saw what is the first tee do for the kids, but the parents most of the time don't understand.
Right.
And what I want to show in this book is what is the first tee do for the kids? What is the golf is good for the kids, right? And how, if they can practice golf, maybe they can help to be better, right? That's the other way. And that's happened in 2015 when I was thinking on that. But on the pandemic, because we stay on house for a long time, that's when I put all the things in place, and that's when I published the book. But I'm sorry.
No.
When I finished the book, I thinking okay, I did this for parents understand what is the first to do.
Right.
And what happened if I do a program for adults, for young adults, and for parents and for entrepreneurs and businessmen, and we create a new program we call Grow. That's the program for people in college, university. Is outside of the first T. The first T can do only from 5 to 18, and after 18 don't have nothing, and that's the reason I make the other program. And also we're talking with Kevin about how we can develop this program, because it's important to get to the college people, to the university people, and for parents and for entrepreneurs, for businessmen too. Right? And that is the program we develop. And we have now, this is the first of the 5 books what I have right now wrote.
You got 5 books?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, wow. Just the things in there, I was just really, it's a different perspective. It's seeing golf in a different light. When I took up golf, it was, I wanted to be a pro golfer. I wanted to be famous. It's a sport that I could play by myself. And then I later found out that can be horrifying, because you can't, coach, take me out. If it's going the wrong way, there's no place to hide either. I was just talking this morning at breakfast with someone who coached basketball. And I said, the element of basketball that is most like golf? And he said, no. I said, shooting a free throw under pressure. Mm-hmm. Nobody's guarding you. You're 10 feet from the bucket. And I always admire the kids that have the ice water veins and make those things, but you have to learn a lot about control, don't you? A lot of what you write about is, like you say, pause, think before you respond. You learn to temper yourself. I found that fascinating.
Yeah. Yes, also I saw on the program for adults when we have right now, we're working too much on the side for health wellness, right? Because what I saw is most of the elite sports guys want to be a professional. If you don't be a professional, they go down and they feel like, I can do nothing, right? No, we need to show them how they can use it. All the tools when you be on the sport, also on the golf side, happen, and to use it in the future for your work. You can use for relationships, you can use for social side, you can use for business, you can use for different ways, right?
That's right.
And that's the beauty of the golf side.
And that's what I was getting at. Yeah, I was like, okay, and if I don't play well, I was really, down and that kind of thing. But enough about me. That it can be used in all of life, and that's a great thing, because it's just like becoming a movie star. Very few guys are going to make it on the pro tour. Maybe 200 or 300 out of thousands and thousands that are really good. And I guess you inculcate that in your golf program, right? These guys need to get an education, right?
Yeah. I think it's interesting, that when you look at, again, they're young men and young ladies from Weslyan that have or will play professional golf for a period of time, and have done well, But most kids, I like that commercial. Most kids are going to be something pro and something other than sports, And I think getting these young men to realize that they have an opportunity to grow as a human being, as in their character, as much as in their golf, and then how those two equate each other. I think, it's one of the key things you try to teach collegiate golfers is to, stay in the moment, how not to let your emotions override, what's going on, what's your next most important job. Things like trying to, how do you practice? Where are most of your shots coming from, and recognizing that 125 yards in, and where to focus, where to put your focus, what to insulate yourself from, how to build some good habits. Those things translate into the rest of their adult life too. And so I think that my responsibility as coach, obviously, we want to win more national titles. Wesleyan's won 7 of them, umpteen conference titles, all these tournaments, almost 250 tournaments we've won over those 85 years.
Gracious, I didn't realize that.
So it's been very successful. But I think that, I believe one of the charges that was given to me, by our administration, was to let's make sure that not that we haven't been, but let's use these opportunities these young men have while they're here in Fort Worth, Texas, and at Weslyan, and help them to grow as a leader, as a colleague, as a friend, as a in their business and all their lives, so they can take these things into their communities around the world and benefit. So it's the same thing. I've been basically been doing my whole life. It's just a different level. What's really fascinating about these kids, though, Pat, they're so good, from a golf standpoint. So it's a little different challenge than someone that hits ground balls and you're trying to get them airborne, or some 8-year-old who's trying to just learn the game, or even an adult who's learning the game. But they get it. They understand, like, there's things they're learning. As long as you point out to them, you make that link, like, hey, you learned how to focus on, control your emotions and focus on the next job at hand. Asking that question, how does that help you in school? How does it help you in your business life down the road? So that's kind of why our theme is around, other than the code of conduct, is build the pyramid. Top pyramid's golf excellence and success, obviously, but over here is academic pursuit, and then building your character and building your personal skills. All 3 of those things do really melt together. And that's why golf's such a great game. It does it for
It
us.
is. The whole time I've been thinking about the modern kids, the modern player, and they look at their phone, club head speed, trajectory, spin.
It's all
And you're looking at an old school guy.
Yeah.
I actually see where it goes. But just talk about that for a second, because I know that's part of your world now, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, here's the thing. I'm old school as it comes to golf too. I'll confess, I didn't even learn how to use a rangefinder until I took over the job at Weslyan, because everybody else did it for me. But I was so old school. But here's the thing I think about, though. If you fail to utilize the technology that's available to you to help you be successful, regardless of what era. I remember when they first started making perimeter weight irons, and then metal woods, and the golf balls changed. The
hybrid.
Yeah. So if you don't stay up with what's available to you, then you're falling behind. And we talk about all the time. There's 3 things you can do in life. This is something I always said the first tee. Something I tell the Wesleyan golfers too, is there's 3 things you can do in life. You can move forward, you can stand still, or you can move backwards. And 2 of those 3, you get run over. So as it relates to technology, yes, but it's crazy. Like I've spent this summer studying all these different types of technology, because I knew nothing about that. But at the end of the day, though, and those kids will tell you, you can have all the technology in the world. All that helps you do is helps you potentially be more successful. However, it still comes down to your decision making, your emotional control, not getting tied up, and your golf score being who you are. Those things don't change. Just the way that we support the technology around them does.
That's interesting.
It's fascinating. Yeah, they're and at the end of the day, I think people talk about Mr. Hogan, being old school and our namesake of the learning centers at Rockwood. But one of the things that most people don't realize, he was a great scientist. He was tinkering with metal woods and hybrids 30, 40 years before they developed. Long putter, different types of, he was always trying to be ahead of science as well. So, I think it's interesting. But yeah, it's a technical world.
And as good as Hogan was at hitting the ball, he was even more a strategist. What's the percentage play? Which I think probably at your level, That's a huge thing.
It is a
learning
huge
how to
thing.
manage their game and everything.
Well, the manage their game and the emotions. They have the technical skill to produce a score that's helpful to us, and I think that's a lot of my job, especially after this first year of kind of evaluating where can I best help and serve these young men. Kind of like you did first, how can I best serve the people involved with the first tee? And I recognize is that I can help them mentally, physically, to be able to focus on the task at hand, remain emotional, calm, plan their shots, plan their strategy, make sure they have a game plan in place, make sure that they're fueling, hydrating, resting. All those things are important to competitive success, but they're also important in your day-to-day life too, and so it's a neat challenge. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, got to stay hydrated, especially as you get older and you don't get as thirsty, so you have to make yourself drink. Now, you mentioned to me that you've got 5 books now. Explain that. Now, are you taking this overview and you're dividing it out, or
the first this is the first
your
book
best shot?
We want to talking about the golf and how the golf changed the life, and do on my life too.
Right.
The second book that I wrote is about grow. You don't be healthy where you come from, but you be responsible where you go for. Right? That is the second book. The third book that I have is with the pandemic. We don't know if the pandemic can take us or not. And I wrote my grandchild is born, and I make a book for her, like I tell you who is your grandpa. When he go down, when he go up, times when it go up and down, right? Because the life is like that. And the fourth book is about leadership. We call reconocer. You know, to recognize people working with you, right? And you need to delegate to them, because this is the way where you can grow up. And the last book is about contact with yourself to contact others. Because if you don't contact yourself, you don't know where you are, you can make a best connection with the other people. That's
interesting. Good stuff.
It's all around the grow.
Yeah, leadership is. Your perspective on that was really good. What am I forgetting to ask you guys? One thing I did want to mention you. What is the future of golf? Because you guys are working with the young people so much. Now there's a lot of headlines about Live Golf and the PGA Tour and this money coming in and everything. But there's another game of golf, and that's the game of golf played at the local course with friends and in beautiful places and so forth. Your ideas kind of like about the future of golf, and or anything I failed to ask you that you'd like to mention before we call it a day here?
Well, I think I'll start the future of golf. I think is an interesting one because of all that's happening. The one thing that I think all this publicity does around it puts more spotlights on the game of golf. And the pandemic did that too. More people playing, starting to play. But I think that for the future of golf, my hope for the future of golf, and I know we're getting ready to launch a facility that's similar to the learning centers at Rockwood and Squaw Creek at Texas Weslyan that'll be used as a community resource, to draw people into the game and provide them some of these skills and so forth. All ages of people from all walks of life. But I think, to me, that my hope for the future of the game is that golf becomes even more and more accessible, and not just the game, but all these types of programs and benefits that surround it. And I think that's really possible now. Certainly there's going to be a lot of money flowing into the game for a while. There'll be a lot of attention on the game. They'll become even a more global game. I think all those things are good. However, what worries me is that maybe we lose sight of those things that are important. Going out and experiencing all those many benefits. So I hope that doesn't go away amidst all the technology and the fanfare and the money, but it's changing. It's not the game you and I grew up with, and kind of like that thing I said before, we got to move forward with it. Yeah. I'm excited though, because opportunities like this to grow through the game, I think, are really important. So that's my hope.
Well, I skipped over the thing. He just alluded to it. You debunk the myths against golf, that it's exclusive, that it's expensive, that it's difficult. It is all these things, but not overly so. So Yeah.
What I think on golf is, and right now is more accessible for any people, right? And you can see the places where you can hit it. Top Golf.
Get started,
And all of them, they have 3 or 4, and now what I know is golf in arena. Something do it in California, in La Quinta, do it arena indoor golf. And that's
arena indoor golf?
Yeah. Yes, it's very interesting.
And Tiger's got, I knew that this would happen, the putting course.
Yeah. Also, Tiger and Rolly.
Pop stroke, they call it.
They do another type of golf too. I think it's more accessible, and we're thinking in make a small clusters for golf for 3 holes. Like 1 par 3, 1 par 4, and 1 par 5. And if making levels, the level where strengths you have, you can go for easy to the hardest, right? And that's important. Is people need to feel like they can go anywhere, like go to a football field or like go a baseball field or whatever. It's open to anyone. That is the beauty of golf, because the golf can show you how is the live, how the life need to live, right? We're talking before I arrive here about you talks. If you thinking in wrong talks, obviously it's like you say, I go to the water, for sure you'll be on the water. If you thinking you kind of
what I like in here you talked about, and the same thing that Mike Booker talked about in I forget the name of his book. It's a very good book as well. The Player's Handbook: How to be a player and not somebody, a tournament player, and not somebody who plays in tournaments. Don't always make excuses. I thought, well, that's all I got. I mean, you moved. I was going to hit a great shot, and you moved over there, or something happened, and I now catch myself. Don't be a victim. It wasn't somebody else's fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got control here. Step away if you're distracted.
Yeah.
And my latest thing is that how to stay relaxed is a lot of it's pre-shot routine. Count Yogi. I don't know if you've heard of Count Yogi.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah,
He's very obscure. We'll get to that later on. Any just final comments, guys? We're running out of time. It's been a blast. 2 guys I really think the world of, and I'm glad I ran into you at the golf show a couple of years ago and got this, and I see what a treasure it is now. And I'm so happy for you to have this out.
Thank you.
But any final comments? Kevin, let you go first.
It's just great to be here, Pat, always with you. Thanks for your service to the golf community and helping spread the word. But no, I hope everybody gets out and checks out golf, First Tee, Texas Weslyan Golf.
Yes.
We'd love to have you involved in one of those programs.
Well, you mentioned earlier you had a tournament at the Tempest. And
Yes.
Mike Clements is a big supporter.
Yes,
Michael
yes.
Clements played at Texas Wesleyan.
Right.
Are you going back to the Tempest this year?
I
Maybe
don't
not?
know yet. We
Okay.
may go back in the spring, and we didn't host the tournament. We just played in it.
Ah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it was a great.
Letourneau hosted it, maybe?
Letourneau hosted it. Yeah,
okay.
it was one
Okay.
of the tournaments we won last year, and
Good
one of the
for
great
you.
things about
One of
college
the
golf.
257 or how many?
Yeah,
you
that's
won?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
The
yeah.
great thing
You
about
got that
college
under
golf
your
is
watch.
travel.
Right?
That's right. That was my second tournament win.
There you
We
go.
won it. But one of the great things about college golf is you get to travel and meet some other people, and that's a great example. But no, I just hope that people can take some inspiration, get involved in the game, however that looks. Top golf, short courses, miniature golf, playing with your friends.
Enjoy golf.
Enjoy the game. Enjoy what it is. That's really. We need to all laugh a little more and have a good time.
Yeah. You're going to be embarrassed. If you play golf, you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to learn humility.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. Jorge, your final thought. By the way, before you do that, I ran into you guys. I got to be part of the Fort Worth Junior Championship final round a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, at Shady Oaks, and that was a blast. And those kids were so well behaved and so good. It's having an effect, and it's a real positive effect. But Jorge, your final thought.
Yeah, my final call is thank you, Pat, for inviting us. And I think we need more people involved in golf, because they show how they can be a leader in your life. And we need more leaders.
I love that. And being a leader starts with leading yourself down the right path. Yeah. Well, I like to say enjoy golf, but also I like to say you'll enjoy golf a lot more if you'll hit it where they mow. Thank you for being on our show today. And again, I want to remind you, look up Texas Weslyan Golf, look up First Tee Fort Worth, all kinds of opportunities to be involved there. And look at Your Best Shot, this book by Jorge Croda. It's a great read. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you on the links.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.